Dear all, Autism Learning Materials Supermarket is an autism community project implemented by NBAI, AI for Autism, Job for Autism, and Mr. Lei Duhong Lam to provide authentic and updated 24/7 documents thanks to artificial intelligence for parents with children with autism and related disorders, specialized teachers, inclusive teachers, and therapists. Today, we would like to introduce video N0.94, From Assistant to Teammate, Understanding Agentic AI.
Okay, so for a long time, we've basically seen AI as a smart assistant, right? Something that just follows our orders. But that picture is changing, and fast. We're moving from a simple helper to something more like an autonomous teammate. So let's really dig into what that actually means.
So what if an AI wasn't just a chatbot? What if it was a teammate that could tackle big, complex projects all on its own? I mean, think about it. You could just say, hey, plan a marketing campaign for our new product. And it just does it. It doesn't just rate the plan, it executes it. We're talking booking the ads, writing the copy, analyzing the results, the whole shebang. That right there is the world of agentic AI.
All right, here's the game plan. First, we'll get into what agentic AI really is. Then, we'll see it in action with an incredible example in autism care. After that, we'll talk about the hurdles, the challenges of actually using this tech. And we'll wrap up by looking at what the future of collaboration between us and machines is going to look like.
Okay, so let's dive right in. First things first, what's under the hood? What are the actual building blocks that make an AI an agent, truly autonomous? So, at its heart, agentic AI is all about independence. It's not just a fancy chatbot waiting for your next prompt. No, this is different. It understands a big picture goal, it comes up with a strategy, and then it actually takes action to get it done. And this is the key part, it can adapt on the fly. It's less like a tool and more like a project manager. So what's powering all this? Well, you can think of it like this. Every AI agent has a brain, and that brain is a large language model, an LLM. You've heard of these, right? Stuff like GPT-4 or Gemini. This is the core component that does all the heavy lifting, the reasoning, the planning, the real thinking. But hey, a brain's not much good without memory, is it? And these agents actually have two types. First, there's short-term memory, which is kind of like its working memory for what's happening right now. Then there's long-term memory. This is where it saves all its knowledge and learned experiences, so it can get smarter and make better choices over time, just like us. Okay, but this is the real game changer. Agentic AI doesn't just sit there and think, it acts. It can decide all by itself that it needs to search the web for info, or run some code to do a calculation, or call on another digital tool. It has access to a whole toolbox, and crucially, the autonomy to decide when and how to use those tools. So how does this all come together? How does an agent think? Well, when you give it a big goal, it doesn't just stare at it. First, it breaks that goal down into smaller, bite-sized tasks. Then it cooks up a flexible plan, weighs its different options to find the best path, and then it just executes, step by step, pulling in whatever it needs from its toolbox along the way. All right, so that's the blueprint, the theory. But theory is one thing, right? Let's see what this actually looks like when the rubber meets the road. We're going to look at a really powerful, real-world example of how these AI assistants are tackling a huge challenge in healthcare. So here's the problem we're talking about. The need for autism care and support is growing, and it's growing fast. But for so many families, getting that care is a massive struggle. They face huge barriers, whether it's living too far from a specialist or just a shortage of experts. It can be incredibly difficult to get the timely help they need. And you can see the difference right away. I mean, traditional in-person visits can be a total logistical nightmare. Scheduling, travel, costs, it all adds up. But AI-assisted virtual consultations, they just smash through those barriers. They're more efficient, they save money, and most importantly, they can connect a family in a rural area with a top specialist halfway across the world. Plus, they can add a layer of objectivity to the whole process.
So where does the AI fit in? How is it being a teammate to the professionals? Well, it's doing the heavy lifting with the data. It can sift through mountains of patient information to find tiny patterns a person might miss. It can process tons of research to offer up diagnostic suggestions. And what that does is free up the human expert to focus on the human part of the job, actually providing care.
And, the results really do speak for themselves. This isn't just an idea on a slide. It's making a real positive difference in people's lives. We're seeing families get better access to specialists. They're more engaged in the treatment plans, and they're just happier with the care they receive. That is a massive win.
Now, this healthcare story is amazing, right? But it also shines a light on some of the universal challenges that come up anytime you try to implement this kind of advanced tech. Because let's be real, going from a cool idea to something that actually works in the real world, it's rarely a straight line.
So, what are the big hurdles? What's really holding companies back? It usually boils down to 4 key roadblocks: the cost, trying to integrate it with old systems, getting good data, and of course, finding people who actually know how to do this stuff. Let's unpack that a bit. First up, cost. This tech is not cheap. It takes a serious investment to build and maintain. Second, integration. You can't just bolt a futuristic AI onto a system from the 90s. It just doesn't work. Third, data quality. AI is basically powered by data, and if you feed it garbage, you're going to get garbage out. And finally, the talent shortage. There's just not enough experts out there to go around. And look, it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all deal. Picking the right AI model, the right engine for the job, is absolutely crucial. You've got your massive LMMs, which are great for complex stuff but are expensive power hogs. Then you have smaller models, SLMs, which are way more efficient for specific tasks, like on your phone. And then you have highly specialized models, SRMs, which are tuned for expert fields like medicine. It's all about picking the right tool for the job. Okay, so we've talked about the challenges. With all that in mind, what does the future really hold? The key takeaway here is that it's not about humans being replaced. It's about partnership. The whole game is figuring out how humans, and these new AI teammates can collaborate in the best possible way. And let me tell you, the payoff for getting this right is huge. I mean, we're talking about massive productivity gains by automating all that boring, repetitive work. We're talking about incredible personalization, whether it's for a student's learning path or a customer's shopping experience. It's a massive competitive advantage for anyone who gets on board early. And down the line, yeah, it means big cost reductions. So what's the playbook? How do you actually get there? Well, it's a pretty clear 4-step process. First, you have to figure out what your core needs are. Where are the weak spots? Then you pick the right AI model for that specific job, not just the biggest one. The third and maybe most important step is to go slow. Start small, experiment, and then expand. And finally, don't try to go it alone. Collaborate with partners. It'll save you money and get you there faster. And that really brings us to the final big question, because this isn't just about the technology evolving, it's about us evolving with it. As AI truly graduates from a simple assistant to a real collaborator, we have to ask ourselves, how does that change our own roles? What does my job, what does your job look like when we're working side by side with these incredibly powerful new teammates? That's the question we're all going to have to answer.
Autism Learning Materials Supermarket would like to thank parents, teachers, and interventionists. Please disseminate to relevant people in the autism community so that more and more people can access this authentic and scientific learning resource. To raise awareness in the community, please subscribe to watch the next videos. For any questions, please contact the email below.